the opportunity that I have here. So let me take you guys through what we were able to achieve as a company, and I'm hoping that it is going to be beneficial for you guys. So so what we are going to discuss today is an introduction on who we are as a company, and I want to bring up a little bit of about what is the geographical location on where we are located, and also what it is integrated IBPM. I know that the acronym looks the same, but we were adopting that for our internal use, and the full extension of that is integrated blueprint management. That is our way of managing the process to support the strategy and the execution. And then after that, I want to take you a little bit more into the journey that we are in right now, where we were defining how the blueprint management, by looking onto the industry standard business process management, is helping the organization. How did we put the architecture, and what were the first steps that we were making so that it can lay out on what is important from our perspective to keep it running. Okay, so intro to JBL and EMS operation strategy. I'm not going to read this slide. You guys can look onto that and see what we are doing, but our vision and the strategy is to be the most technologically advanced and trusted manufacturing solution provider. So we are a partner with our customers, right? We are on the market for almost 55 years, 53 years exactly. We are around 25 billion of revenue, 200,000 different employees around the globe, 120 sites globally. So it is pretty big organization, if I can say like that. And we are supporting a really huge portfolio of the markets, starting from the consumer, packaging, energy, healthcare, automotive, and so on and so forth. So pretty much whatever you are touching on a daily basis, that might be coming from us, as we are partners for those big brands and we are manufacturing for them, right? So that is quite interesting whenever we are having a conversation with anybody from the outside of the company, when they say, JBL, I'm not sure if I heard this name before, and I'm saying, well, definitely you touch our product on a daily basis, right? Because we are partnering with almost all of the brands around the globe. Now, if it comes to the specific of the company, we are supporting our customers, starting from the innovation, going through the design, development, and delivering all of those things. And our approach is to focus on the experts. And I think this is really critical and really important, where we talk about the integrated blueprint management, or BPM standard, because the experts are playing a really key role, and that is one of the leading element for us as a company that is helping us to drive the organization really successfully in providing the high service for the customers, right? So this is about the company. I hope that it is helping you to get a little bit closer understanding on who we are and what we do. If it comes to the locations, we are localized around the globe. We have more than 100 different facilities around the globe. As you can see, we are based or we are present in Asia. We are present in Europe, Mid East, and Africa. We have a pretty big campuses in Latin America and also North America, right? So as you can see, pretty extended organization, and especially if you remember 200,000 different employees around the globe, that is building a really huge network of, and this is what I really enjoy and what I like, because thinking about 200,000 different employees, I am always thinking about the human brain power that we have around there, right? And I'm always thinking how we can take an advantage of that human horsepower, if I can call it like that, and that can help us to drive innovation and can help us to drive moving forward strategy for the company. Now, when it comes to the overall idea or the concept around the IBPM, or integrated blueprint management, the way how we were studying that, we went with a pretty clear hypothesis. We say, with the tremendous growth that the company was going through during the last few years, complexity increased, and that complexity forced us also to diversify and extend the processes, and build up for different solutions for different needs. So what we observed, it was that with the complexity of the businesses, our processes complexity increased as well. So what we said, what was the hypothesis, is that if we can pull down the curve that is representing the process complexity, and we can flatten this down, it can help us to save a lot of effort, but also in money, right? And stabilize our manufacturing cost. So moving forward, we were focusing on the operational excellence, where we were looking onto the reduced transformation cost. We were looking onto the clear accountabilities and responsibilities across the organization. We were focusing on we wanted to be focused on the innovation, and build a vehicle to unlock, all of the abilities or the possibilities to proliferate innovation and also the good ideas that are coming from the top, but also what is more important from the bottom. We were looking for the increased flexibility and so on and so forth, right? Sustainable growth, etc. Right? So I think, starting from this picture, what we were doing, we were saying, okay, if we are going to stay competitive and then keep driving to the future, aligning to our strategy, we have to take care of our cost, but also we have to take care of our way of managing the processes. And that is how we came up with the integrated blueprint management, where we said we want to build a platform that is going to help us run standardization to make a sustainable operational excellence, where all of the best practices that are being built at the site are going to be proliferated, and they are going to be pulled up so that all of the facilities around the globe. And if you remember, we have 100+ different facilities, so that we wanted those facilities to take an advantage of good practices that are coming or that are being created by our people at the facility, at the site level. Then we said, once we go through this one, we want to step into the innovation and then combine it all together so that we can understand how we can move the standard processes that we build into the next level, so that we can take an advantage of the existing technology and the innovation, so that it can help us to move ahead towards the potential new processes and new businesses that are growing outside on the market, right? Because I think it is not a secret for anybody that the market evolved so fast and it changed so rapidly, especially right now with those kind of situation. And coronavirus is a bad thing that happened, but is a perfect example that is showing how quick the businesses have to adapt to the situation. And I think building the IBPM, it helped us a lot to go towards those challenges that were created by the COVID-19. And then the final stage was about the transformation, so that building a sustainable operational excellence, combining and integrating with the new technologies that are available out there. Then we want to go towards the new business models and be able to flexibly, in really high flexible way, to adopt and adjust to what is needed at the market, right? And then if you think about the IBPM, we were looking into the several business cases, right, or use cases, if you call it like that, because you can adopt it and you can do a lot of things with the business process management. However, we have listed down 5. We say we want to be focused on the operational excellence and strategic operational improvements, factor of the future investments, which is another component that we are driving that is connected to the innovation, M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and new businesses. And going through all of those 5 elements, the left side came up pretty obvious: standardize, innovate, and transform, by going through that. Then what we did, we said, okay, now when we know what we want and how we want to manage that, we have to pull it all together and then align it with our operating system. So what we said, it is top to bottom, bottom top approach. We are building environment and organization by defining what are the objectives and the strategic goals that we want to drive, and we are defining what is critical at the top We are cascading this down to our regional teams, down to the site, and then we are closing the loop, allowing the site to feedback towards those strategies and allowing them to drive us with the feedback and indication what potentially they think is the best way to achieve the goals from their perspective. So then we are combining it together. And the way how we do it, you see the triangle is surrounded by three arrows. One is plant level operating system, through which on a daily basis we are controlling the performance. We are following up whatever happened throughout the JOS, QRQC, LPA type of the solution. So we know exactly on a daily basis what is happening. Then throughout the unified metrics management, we know how or what the organization is doing and how it's performing. But what is more important, we are closing this circle by putting the integrated blueprint management, which is hosting our processes. So whatever is coming from the top to the bottom, bottom to the top, we are extracting those and we are saying what are the best practices, what are the best solutions that we want to use as our enterprise level or layer of the process, so that we can navigate through that and we can use it to intelligently translate the strategies to the site level, but also collect the feedback from the site on how they believe is the best way to achieve the goals defined by the organization. Okay, so that will be about the company and what we were putting as our leading elements, and then how we were defining what exactly we want to do to be more competitive, to drive a best-in-class organization. And then when we shape it, when we frame it, we started to build an architecture of the integrated blueprint management. And I'm going to show you right now what is the vision of IBPM. The vision of IBPM is this simple screen. And I think there is nobody on this call who is not recognizing this. This is a GPS. And then when you think about that, whether you use your phone, whether you use your car, whether you use your laptop, whatever, it is pretty obvious how it works. You are located in one place, you are typing in location B or final destination, and GPS automatically is able to show you the path, the road to go there. It is going to tell you where to turn, where is the potential congestion, where are the traffic lights, and also it can inform you where to stop when is the green or red light, So so that is the inspiration that we were putting in front of ourselves, and we say we want to build company GPS, where whenever the decision is going to be made, whether it is a process, whether it is a tool, whether it is a KPI or the data, we want to be able to type in a final destination and see who are the parties, what are the parties that should be engaged, and who should be the party of the conversation, so that we can drive there without any problems, right? So we were looking, and you see in the surrounding of this GPS is explaining what we were looking for: sustainability, accuracy, updates, and all those kind of things. However, if you think about the GPS, I'm not sure if we all are thinking or understand how complex it is, right? Because it is not just easy to open the navigation panel or the GPS and then look onto the screen to understand, and everything is happening magically, because nobody has a magic wand to build those things, right? Because behind the scenes with the GPS, there are satellites, there are cars, the Google is recording the roads, the streets, and a lot of architecture, methodology, and the tools, and a lot of effort to be able, or that the people are putting for us to be able to drive safely from one place to another one. And in IBPM, whenever I'm looking onto the GPS, is exactly the same. It is a nice to have or really cool stuff to have, where you can type in the final destination and it can help you to navigate through that. But at the same time, we were emphasizing the complexity of building that, right? So I think it is representing really well what we were building, and I'm going to show you in more details how we were constructing the architecture and what were the steps that allows us to get into the point where we are today. So the very first thing that we did to build it up and drive it, it was to build up the solid foundations. So we say, to be able to run integrated blueprint management efficiently and effectively, we need to have all of our processes digitized. So not saying that we haven't had them, right? Because we are really process-oriented company, but then we say we have them slightly into the silos. So what we want to do, we want to put them all together and connect them so that we can accelerate the effort whenever we want to understand what is the customer journey or end-to-end process or the plan. Then the end-to-end integrated blueprint can help us to navigate those through that, right? So we built in all of the processes into one integrated place in the digital format. Another element was the blueprint, roles, and accountabilities. So we say, now when we know what are our processes, we need to make sure that we are emphasizing or we are indicating who are the bodies that are responsible for what. Because throughout the time, even though if you give the responsibility to the people, they tend to adjust to the way how they believe it's supposed to work. Now with IBPM, it was slightly different and new concept that we were putting in place. So we took an advantage of that, and then we say, let's refresh and revise all of the roles and responsibilities throughout the organization that will help us to link it back to the process, right? So that is what we did as the second one, and all of those things were driven in parallel, guys. So don't see that as a sequential events, because we were driving that in parallel, so that at the end of the day we were able to connect them all together, right? The third element that we were putting in place was, now when we know how to build our processes, when we know how we are revising and refreshing the roles and responsibilities, we said we need to have a common platform or the forum that can help us to communicate efficiently. So we started to put our experts committee meetings, expert committee platforms, and then also we started to connect our top management throughout all of the levels down to the site. And we were saying, okay, this is what is important, right? Those are the strategies, and we were building a clear path that the strategies were going through different layers, and we peel it off, defining or translating the strategy to the next level down, right? So thanks to that, we were able to accelerate the clarification on how we are going to execute the strategy. Because if you will go with a strategy from the top and then you will give it to the site level to the operators, not necessarily it is going to work as you expect, right? And that is what we wanted to do. Going through the different layers, we are clarifying what are the priorities and what are the processes that's supposed to be engaged. So that's what we were building with the pillar 3. Pillar 4 and 5, they are combined, because we say now when we have those 3 elements, which is our process, our roles and responsibilities, and the forums, we need a platform that is going to help us to put them all together and accelerate the effort. And then that is where we met Signabio, and they help us to build that environment. And one of the things that I'm really excited with and it was really helpful was the collaboration hub that Signabio has, which is the place where you can put all of your experts, all of your processes, and it allows you to communicate in the real time almost, right? To consume your processes, understand what are the tools that you're supposed to use to perform your work or execute the process, but also it can look back with a feedback on what the site or what the operator is thinking about individual steps. If this is something that they agree, fine. If this is something that they think might be improved, that is something that we were extracting, and we were pulling this back to our enterprise level of the process. And then the 5th element is to focus on the real-time, the real-time expert force management, which is pretty much, I mean, in every organization, you have the navigation path where you control your KPIs, and then you bubble them up, right? To understand how you are performing, what is the results, what is the financials, etc., etc. And usually what is happening in that model, you are realizing post factum that something happened. So then you are building some avoidance or predictive after it happens, right? What we are doing, we are extending the model, and we are adding the process KPIs that are connected to the processes, and the real time, we are linking this up to our process experts, and then in the real time, we are able to redirect their focus on the right places at the right time. Okay. So then, when it comes to the standardization and the way how we were building the blueprint, looking onto the 5 pillars, and we always move around those 5 pillars, right? We say now we need to put the layers of the different segments that we want to control. So we say process is the most important. Nothing can happen without clearly defined and well-defined process. So process is the driver, and we always are building everything based on the process, right? So that whenever we've started the journey with a blueprint, we say process is the base, and let's start with the process. So we define all of our processes, we put them into the digital format, and then we say now we need to understand what are our procedures. And then not only understand what are our procedures, but also we were working to standardize them and merge them so that we can have one common layer for the organization that everybody have to be compliant to. Then another element was to go over the tools, right? We say now when we know what are our processes and the procedures, we want to understand what are the tools that we are using. It's not that we didn't know what are those tools, but there were like many tools that were playing the same role or were having a similar functionalities, but the number of the tools, of course, is not efficient from the IT perspective, especially if it comes to the cost, right? So we say, let's group all of those tools and see which are the tools that are supporting the same set of the process or the same piece of the process, so that we can select the best one or we can merge them, and it can help us to simplify our IT landscape. And then we were going after KPIs to be able to manage all of those things. And then we close up the loop with a clear definition of the data, right? So those are the 5 layers that we were building on top of the foundations defined by the blueprint, going by the 5 pillars. And those are the ones that are helping us to create the full loop, starting from the process, knowing what are the procedures, the tools that we are using, way of measuring that, and then what are the data / information. It is representing a full view on how we are driving the process, right? And then right now, today, whatever we are going to touch or whatever we are going to influence, whether it is data, KPIs, tools, or the procedures, wherever we go, wherever we touch, it is showing dependencies. And that is the beauty with the whole integrated blueprint management, because it doesn't matter what we are touching, immediately we see what are the dependencies, who's supposed to be engaged, and who are the parties that are playing a key role to drive the change, so that they can coordinate that among the organization within the functional groups and help us to accelerate the effort. But what is more important, focus on the cost and then avoid any misalignment, because I think each of us was a witness of the projects where some of the things were missed, right? We didn't consider this, we didn't consider that. And I'm not saying it is not going to happen here, but we minimize the scale, right? So that whenever we are going through any change, any improvements, or even more, what is more important, when we go after the strategy of the company, then this architecture is helping us a lot to identify what are the dependencies, who should be engaged, who should be involved, and then how to drive it efficiently. Now, one of the things that I want to highlight also is nothing is happening without the people, right? Especially with a process in the expert type of the environment that you have to hold, right? So our global process owners that I was referring when I was describing the roles and responsibilities at the pillar 2, this is our most important layer of the company. By saying that, I'm saying that we nominated our process owners, not that we hire a bunch of the people, but we went through the company, through the organization, and we say, who are the owners of the processes? And then we change or we slightly modify the way how the process owners are hosting or holding the processes in their hand. And then they became our owners of the segment of the processes. So anything that is happening, for example, in materials, cannot happen or cannot be changed without the approval of the global process owner that is owning the materials portion of it, right? the same engineering, quality, manufacturing, etc. And thanks to that, we are putting the the clarification on what is the ask from the site, or what is the ask from the region, up to the global process owner, and he, together with our experts on our committee, they are deciding if that is the way how we want to drive the company at the enterprise level, or it might be a piece of the process that we want to keep or host at the site level or at the region, right? So that is becoming a really critical function for us, where the process owners or global process owners, they are becoming decision makers if it comes onto the way how we execute the strategy, but also how we run the innovation. Of course, not by themselves, but within the committee that they are coordinating by going through the organization. Quick example on how we were running the check when we started and when we were going after that, and those are random numbers, guys. But I just wanted to visualize what we were doing. So based on the definition that we put in place, in terms of the global standards, the tools, and the KPIs, we were going through all of our regions, and we say, now we need to validate how compliant we are to what we defined. And that was a huge, tremendous effort that we put in place. But finally, after going through that, we get onto the point where all of the regions are being aligned towards the global enterprise level of the process that we defined. And then we were able to extract this, we call it flexibility, but those are the variables or variations that we are keeping on a side, but at the same time, they are still attached to the core processes, right? So pretty much going throughout all of the regions, we were defining 60, 70, 80% of the process is being common. And then this, around 20% of the processes are country-specific, region-specific, or customer-specific type of the processes, right? And we were keeping them slightly separate, right? But still connected to the process, so that whenever we drive the change throughout the organization, by using IBPM, we see when we are changing our global standard, so that we are having all of the important parties engaged, but also we understand where are those variations that exist, right? So that we can take into consideration upfront, and then we will avoid any problems or any confusions moving forward, right? Once we will get there. So that was the way how we were going through that. Now, the overall journey, right, from idea to maturity. I'm really excited all the time when I'm talking about IBPM, because I'm passionate with the process, with the BPM standards and all those kind of things. But at the same time, we cannot run right away, right? It is not possible. So we put a crawl, walk, run approach into the environment, and we said, okay, here is where we define what do we want to do. Taking control, we build an idea, we were defining our global golden models, and we were learning on how we want to drive it. So we were building an architecture, we were bringing the right people, we were establishing IBPM champions to build the network. Then this year, we are going through the cultural transformation and cultural change, so that we say, this is the way how we are going to run the business, right? IBPM is the platform that you should supposed to use to run your process compliance check. And then we are empowering our SMEs. SME is a subject matter expert person located at the site level, and they are responsible for the processes. So, so the way how we are running that, there is no like global team is going to dictate how the process should look like. We say to the people, now, today, everybody's global. So whatever the idea is that you have, we want to know it. And then throughout the IBPM, bubble this up to the global process owner, because he can help you to expand it and then put it onto the global baseline, and making sure that whatever is coming from you as the user, the final user, it will be seen by any other facilities, and they can take an advantage of that, right? So that is what we were doing. And the other thing that we are driving in parallel, and it is going to take us till the end of this year and next year, it is to build this self-sustained improvement loop. So we have the clear architecture of the process or the way how we are running IBPM by looking into the process, tools, procedures, KPIs, and the data. We put it into an environment so that everybody knows what is the global baseline, what is the standard that they have to be compliant to. We're extracting those variations that potentially exist, and then we are dragging that onto the point where SMEs within that community, they can keep it running self-sustained, right? Which is every change that is happening will be looping back to the global process owners and vice versa. If there is any initiative that we want to drive from the top perspective, right, then we are dragging this down through the same path. So we are making sure that our process experts at the site level, immediately they will see what we are asking them to do or what we are asking them to validate. Very quickly, major steps. Whenever I think about IBPM, and I had this presentation in front of different audiences, and always they're asking what were the first steps that you guys made, right? So here I was trying to lay it out and then show you some kind of perspective, but the one and the most important element that I was focusing on within the organization, together with my peers, was to secure executive sponsorship. There is nothing more important, right? Where I was looking onto the people who are either owning the process at the VP or senior VP level, and they are willing to participate with that, right? That was really important element. And in the organization, luckily for me, and our organization is process oriented. So every executive that I was talking to about the IBPM, they were so excited that finally we can have everything on one platform and everybody can communicate, right? So it was pretty easy thing to do by engaging them and getting the sponsorship. And then after that, we were going with a broad engagement with the senior leadership. We were defining the process owners. We were defining what are the facilities, what are the processes that we want to drive, and how we want to drive it, right? So we were going through the 5 pillars. We were defining the major end-to-end processes. We began the standardization plan to ship, and so on and so forth, right? So this is a sequence of the events, and you can see that we spent 1 quarter to build up the architecture, gain the support from the executive, and then define how we want to move forward, right? So it might, in my organization, I'm always being challenged with the time because we are contract manufacturer and time is money. They always say to me. So I'm seeing that as something that take a pretty decent amount of time. But some of the people are saying that it was super fast, right? I don't know what is the answer, but I think defining those things within the quarter, that was reasonable, and then moving forward and pulling all of the critical puzzles of the whole picture. That is what helps us to build the full picture and full structure. And then finally, I want to bring up and emphasize the point and give a recognition to Signabio, because they help us a lot to run it. If you look onto the screen on the right bottom corner, right, you see the GPS. On the left side, you see how we translated this GPS to the workable model for the organization. So we have several layers. We have our company layer that is representing what is important: procure to pay, plan to ship, call to cash, etc. Then every circle here is being dragged down to the process groups. Whatever is surrounding, we are calling them indirect processes, whether it is HR, finance, IT, etc. But they are supporting across the board, right? So then we are dragging this down to the next layer, which are the group of the processes, as you can see here. And then we are able to drag it down to the process steps, right? Which are representing process maps, process flows, the tools, linkage, etc. And then finally, here is the element that I was referring to. We have a global standard on top of all of the regions, but then wherever there is any deviation that we want to keep, then we are hosting that at the regional level, right? So in Signabio, on the navigation map, we are allowing our people to drill down from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top, so that they can efficiently go through the process and understand what are the dependencies, who should be engaged, what are the tools.